Hello, everyone. On today's IRS Tax Refund update, we'll take a look at the latest update released from the IRS on the remaining backlog of tax returns. Meanwhile, for those of you still waiting on your tax returns, we're going to take a look at why this week is going to be very important for you as the government approaches a potential shutdown. So we'll see how this is going to impact the IRS. From there, we'll take a look at some of those causes of refund delays and what to expect during the process, and some of those text transcript topics, including cycle codes, transcript codes, and what the processing date means. Now, we received the latest update from the IRS, and this was not good news since our last update, as the total amount of unprocessed tax returns actually increased. Now, we reported last week those numbers dropped from the week before, so this is a bit of a surprise as the total amount of returns unprocessed is now back to over 1 million remaining. E-file returns and those requiring special processing did drop to 700,000, but we saw a huge increase in unprocessed paper tax returns to now over 300,000. So again, we're just about a little over 9 weeks away from the start of the new tax season, and these are not good numbers we should be seeing at this point. Meanwhile, for those of you waiting on amended tax returns, we did see another decrease of that backlog to now 783,000 remaining. So in roughly the last month, the IRS has processed only about 34,000 returns, now not accounting for new amended returns filed, which would impact the net process being made. However, if there are no new amended returns filed based on current trends, it would take the IRS nearly 2 years to completely clear out that amended return backlog. So for those of you who need to file amended returns next year, please remember this number and be prepared for extended waits as a result. For those of you waiting on your tax returns, whether you filed a 1040 individual return or an amended 1040X tax return, this week is going to be extremely important for you, as once again the government is facing a potential shutdown without a spending bill in place. So if a shutdown occurs on November 18th, the IRS will stop processing all tax returns, including amended returns. The IRS will also stop the examination and audit of tax returns. No tax refunds will be sent out unless they were already scheduled from error-free tax returns, which is a minimal amount, as well as the IRS will shut down their call centers and local taxpayer assistance centers across the country as a result until a funding bill is passed. This news, along with the fact we're seeing increases to the tax return backlog, and also the fact that the next tax season is just around the corner, this is not the position to be in, especially at this point in the year. It would appear for those of you waiting on amended returns and paper returns, you'll probably be impacted by this the most and see the longest delays as a result. Also, for those of you e-filers who filed your returns before October, seeing delays, you'll also be seeing additional delays and ultimately see those days added to your refund wait. There's currently discussions of passing a bill to avoid a shutdown, so hopefully we'll have news on that in our next update. But again, for those of you waiting on your refunds, be prepared to encounter additional delays if a shutdown does in fact happen. Speaking of delays, particularly if you e-filed your tax return before October and are still waiting, then it's almost certain the IRS discovered an issue with your tax return, which has essentially slowed processing and issuing of your refund. The biggest reason for an audit or additional tax review would be the credits you're claiming, such as EITC or CTC. A number of our viewers are dealing with this, and at the moment, a significant amount had to send in requested documentation specifically relating to dependents they are claiming on their tax returns in order to ultimately receive that refund. Documentation includes birth certificates and proof of residency that the dependent in question resided with the taxpayer enough of the time in the year to be claimed. If you claimed EITC or CTC and did not receive a notice from the IRS at this point, it's advised for you to contact the IRS to see if this is a cause of your delay. The IRS will not approve the claims for EITC or CTC without requested documentation and eventually will reject the claim. Another reason is simple entry errors or math errors on a tax return that can cause additional delays. Errors on tax returns are very common, and usually smaller errors can be corrected by the IRS and not require you to submit an amended tax return. However, if they're bigger errors, that is going to require additional time to process and verify, particularly with income and tax withholding being reported, especially if those numbers don't match versus what the IRS has on file. Also, failure to report some income will fall into the same category because the IRS may be seeing one set of income earned versus what you reported, and it will cause the IRS system to catch any discrepancy, which will put it into further review. Moving on to those tax transcripts, many still wondering what the as of date means and if they will receive their refunds as of that date that appears. And oftentimes the answer is no. The as of date is something the IRS computer system automatically assigns as a target date for completion of the tax return and should never be relied upon. It is quite common for the date to change multiple times as you wait for your tax refund, especially after the tax season being over with. Ultimately, it's that 846 refund code you want to see posted to your tax transcripts. Now, we've also been asked about cycle codes. Now, under the cycle column on your tax transcript, you'll see an 8-digit code like seen here, with the last 2 digits the most important. If your code ends with 01 through 04, you've been placed in a daily batch cycle, which means you can see updates on your transcripts on any weekday, with Where's My Refund status results updating on Wednesdays. If your code ends in 05, that means you're on a weekly batch cycle, and expect an update to your tax transcripts on Friday with an update to Where's My Refund on Saturday. Again, tax transcript code 570 means there is a hold on your refund and that further action needs to be taken on your tax return, usually requiring examination. That refund will be frozen until you see a 571 or 572 code appear, which is needed to reverse the 570 code. Oftentimes, if you see a 570 code, you will also see a corresponding 971 code on your transcript with either the same date as the 570 code or within a few days, and that represents the letter the IRS sent out in regards to the hold and potential issue with your tax return. Let us know in the comment section below about your ongoing tax issue. In the meantime, we'll keep monitoring the situation for further developments, so make sure to click on the thumbs up and subscribe button below for future updates on this channel, and thanks for watching.